The number of homeless individuals in Washington, D.C. continues to increase. Where we have seen a decline in Washington, D.C. is the number of homeless families and women. And part of the reason for that is because that's where the government of the district has really focused much of their attention and resources. We're actually the oldest private social service agency in D.C. We have a shelter that serves about 170 people each night. We have a family ministry center, a transition home, and a summer camp for kids. The truth is that there's a number of things that can cause homelessness in an individual. And the things that most folks know about things like mental illness and drug or alcohol abuse absolutely are a significant factor in causing somebody to be homeless. So those are two big things. It's also true that lack of affordable housing impacts homelessness in this country, particularly Washington, D.C. But then there's other things that cause it as well. There are people who have simply made a lifetime of bad decisions. And those bad decisions eventually catch up with you. Everybody has brokenness in their life. You do, I do, we all have brokenness in our lives. And most of us have the luxury of working through that brokenness with the safety net of a family and a home. But if you don't have that, a lot of people end up getting kicked to the curb as soon as they start acting up in the home. So if you're a person who's living with an aunt, uncle, grandparent, single parent, especially in an urban setting, especially in a poverty setting, folks start acting up and you're told you got to get out. And those folks don't have any place to go, and a lot of those folks end up homeless or here at our shelter. But it's an oversimplification of the problem to say that putting a roof over somebody's head, creating more housing, is the solution to homelessness. Because there's not just a homelessness crisis in this country, there's also a crisis of mental health, and there's also a crisis of drug and alcohol addiction. All of those things work together. I mean, I think oftentimes people are quick to default to homelessness people are lazy and that's why they're on the street. And you know, to be honest, I'm not going to say that that's never true. But to use that as a blanket assessment of everybody on the street really is kind of shallow. And I understand that not every business person walking down the street is going to take the time to get to know a person's story. I've been doing this long enough to know that I've heard lots of stories, and I can tell you that there are people who simply struggle with addictions and mental health, no fault of their own, and that's what put them into the situation that they're in. But for us, regardless of what the causal factors were that put a person on the street, we're here to help people and to try to give them what they need to get out of that lifestyle. We're not always going to be successful because honestly, human beings are complex, right? But we're either going to work to get that person out of here and living independent or semi-independently, or we're going to do the best to make sure they have the best life possible, whether they are here at this shelter long-term or somewhere else. I'm thinking of somebody like Roy Stevenson. Roy came here years ago. He was an alcoholic, homeless, had all kinds of problems. Roy worked with us through the program, and now Roy is out of here. He has his own house, he has a job, he's married, he's doing great. A guy by the name of Sean Chin, the same thing, came here, had addiction issues, was homeless. Sean lives a beautiful life now. He's married, he has 2 kids, he's got a steady job. More recently, we have guys who went through the program. A couple of them actually work here now. They work for us, so they're giving back through working for us. So there are those shining example stories that keep us motivated to keep going.